Hi everyone! Welcome to BUIDL CTC 2026 Fall Kickoff AMA. I'm Minko from Creditcoin and I'll be hosting today. Today marks the official launch of Season 2, BUIDL for the Real World. Whether you're new here or a returning builder in the Creditcoin ecosystem, we're super excited to have you here. We have 3 amazing speakers joining us today. DS will walk us through the Creditcoin product and ecosystem. Dave will introduce the Attestcoin protocol, and lastly, Song will explain the CEIP Fast Track opportunity. In terms of agenda, we'll start with a quick Season 2 overview, jump into our presentations, and wrap up with Q&A. The whole session will run for about 60 minutes, so let's get started. Before we dive in, we would like to start with the quick overview of Season 2. In this season, every participating team is required to use the Attestcoin protocol as a core feature of their project. To give you a little context, Attestcoin protocol is infrastructure that lets smart contracts on Creditcoin verify transactions or events that happened on other blockchains and use those verified results in their business logic. But heads up for this season, just dropping a Attestcoin protocol in your description is not enough. You actually need working integration code plus solid technical documentations explaining how your build uses it. Also, projects need to be newly built during the hackathon period and deployed to testnet. We're also introducing a new AI track this season, bringing the total to 5: DeFi, RWA, DePIN, gaming, and AI. The total prize pool this season is $15,000 total. First place receives $10,000, second place is $3,000, and third place $2,000. On top of the cash prize, all winning teams get exclusive perks from CertiK, which is each winner receives 8,000 credits toward a CertiK repository audit and 3 months of Skynet boost. And top 3 teams will also get access to the CEIP Fast Track, giving them an opportunity to move into the due diligence stage faster than the standard application process. For more details on CEIP Fast Track, Song will dive deeper in his presentation later. Lastly, a few important dates to keep in mind. Submissions were already opened on August 13th. The final deadline is September 6th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, and winners will be announced on September 18th. And with that, let's take a closer look at the Creditcoin ecosystem, and I'll hand it over to DS.
Hi, my name is DS Choi, and welcome here. I'm a product guy who's going to walk you through what the chain is, the product spec, its users, and the launch time machine, and where you fit. Born in 2017 as an on-chain credit infrastructure for emerging markets, we've since had 5 million loan transactions and $100 million plus recorded on chain. Today, it has evolved on a general purpose EVM layer 1 for real world and cross-chain applications. On its core, Creditcoin runs on Substrate, and because it has full EVM layer 1, Solidity deploys as is. Your tooling should just work. CTC token is the gas that powers the chain and your dApps, and we also have 60,000 community members and still growing. And we have been in production for a decade, reliable and battle tested. The point on this slide is that everything your user needs is already live or being built as we speak. Your dApp starts inside a working economy, not an empty chain. And on the bottom, you see the chain, and it is Explorer, Block Scout, and Subscan. On a DeFi track, we have Penguin Swap, the native DEX with USD1 and USDT pairs. We also have Penguin Bridge, powered by Wormhole, that lets you bridge assets in and out. We also just added, actually, recently, CCIP, the transporter.io support for USD1 as well. On consumer side, we have Credit Wallet on mobile, Penguin Base that works as a campaign and launch hub, Trugi as NGN fiat exchange for Nigeria. On games, we have many being worked on by us and our partners, with Gilded Dungeon, the on-chain dungeon crawler that is currently on testnet, and New Room, the black and white survival game with mainnet NFT minting. Our next big thing, the main topic today, is Attestcoin, our next big step into cross-chain world. I won't go too deep in here, but don't worry, deeper dive will be coming soon by Dave. Let me get it into the real user part. Our mode isn't the TVL, it's the real users and fiat connections. NGN as a local currency comes in and out through Turkey. Both Turkey and Penguin Swap operates USD1 pairs, and everything settles in Creditcoin. Why this matters to you is that most chains offer you traders. These rails reach real consumers in markets where blockchain solves actual problems, payments, savings, and credit. And now let's talk about what it means to launch with us, our launch machine. Token launches here on our proven infrastructure and distribution comes built in. Launches run as fair, fully on-chain automatic auctions. Prices discovered by open bidding, no private allocation. The first mini completed in August 2026, and more ecosystem tokens are lined up behind it. And for builders, Penguin Base can feature your DApp and can work together to handle campaigns, eligibilities, and claims. Our Discord community of 60,000 can help you kickstart your audience. And once launched, we can create a new channel on our Discord to get you a head start with engagement. The 5 tracks of today in this season is DeFi, RWA, DePIN, gaming, and AI. Pipelines keep growing. The Dungeon coin is coming up next. Attestcoin coin itself is also something that's coming up next. We are also working on FT Marketplace for games economy, with more products lively being worked on today. All the while, each product's actively adding new features on Penguin swaps, Penguin wallets, and everything else. On DeFi, what this means is that you get a head start by track. So DeFi, we have a live DEX liquidity with stablecoin pairs. RWA, it comes with credit rails, real value flows. DePIN on the Crest chain data would be Attestcoin. Gaming is with Launchpad and shared game tokens. AI, a verified cross-chain data with decentralized Oracle. I'm going to now, I think that's enough about what it is here. Let's talk about what tools to work with in this season. Dave will walk you through the Attestcoin protocol today.
Excellent. Thanks, TS and Min, for the overview. So we're going to be talking about Attestcoin. I'm sure some builders on the call are looking forward to hearing more. I know some have started to build with it already. So let's get into it. So Attestcoin is our solution to the cross-chain interoperability problem. And it's decentralized oracles. It's a protocol that lets builder access verified data from another chain directly on chain. And we have a couple main components. So we're listing 4 on the right side there. There's some of those components that are good to know about and to keep in mind as you are building, but there's some components that you interact with more directly. A core component of our decentralized oracle is the attester. The ATC is going to be our utility token in the protocol. And ASC here, it would be the component that as a builder, you would probably be interacting with the most. So you would be building your contract and you would be accessing, as we mentioned there, verified data from a source chain. And we have 2 primitives that we refer to as readability and writability. We're going to be looking into that. And I also would like to mention that if you see ASC, if you were familiar with USC in the past, so it's just a way that we now refer to the protocol. So we now refer to it as Attestcoin, and so you may see ASC instead of USC. We're going to see here the overview. So on that presentation, I'd like to also mention that some of it, if you are so looking forward building as part of the hackathon, you will need some of this, and some of this information is things that we also are letting you know so that you can keep in mind as you're doing your building, but you won't necessarily be building with some of those parts. So I'll make sure that that's clear to you. The top part is probably the part that you're going to be building with the most, because it's the part that we already have live. So we have that live on testnet some months pretty much, and also on mainnet. You may in the past have built with a testnet that we had done specifically for what we used to call USC, which is now Attestcoin. So we had a separate testnet, in other words, last time that we had a discussion around this. At the moment, you don't need to be building with a separate chain. So you would be building on the same Creditcoin testnet that you're already familiar with. And so to get now more specific about Attestcoin, you can see on this diagram, so the top part, I mentioned previously the attesters. You can see here their role is to be watching. So what's happening on a source chain, for example, it could be Ethereum mainnet or Ethereum Sepolia. And once they have, so they're peering together, the attesters, once they have reached the quorum, they're going to be submitting their attestation to on-chain pretty much, and we refer to that as the attestation chain. And so at that point, it's verified information that can be used from smart contract, and you can see there block prover about in the middle of the slide. So the block prover can verify a proof that's been submitted to your contract that we have at the bottom there of the slide. So as the builder, you're mostly focusing probably on the part where it's written ASC smart contract. And in there, you'll be receiving a proof from someone that's doing an action on your system. And you can use the block prover to verify that against the data that's already verified. And you can decode that proof and you can trust that the fields and the information that you're getting in there has been verified, and you can make your logic based on those fields. So it's a pretty rich way of developing to access that information. And we refer to everything that I just discussed there as readability. So watching the source chain, doing the attestations, and having the block prover and receiving proof and verifying them. All of that is part of readability. And writability is something that's good to keep in mind, but not in scope at the moment for the hackathon. Writability is something that we are at the moment in the final phase of development, and so we wanted to mention it here so that you can know what we're cooking, and you can also plan so that you can probably have an extension of your software, like have of your solution have next features also be able to be adapted or probably take advantage of those upcoming features as well. If for your solution you have to be writing, so you have to be doing action to another chain, so you can see like the yellow arrows at the bottom there. If you were to need that sort of in the next days during your build for a reason, you wouldn't be doing it with writability though. You can do it in sort of a conventional way. You wouldn't be doing it decentralized to Attestcoin for the moment. You would be doing readability mostly for that, but you could still be using, for example, you can be interacting in like the way that you're used to, so using an RPC for the source chain if you were to need to, but the scope is mostly, so the top part, readability, and good for you to keep in mind what's going to be coming, which is the writability. So that's for that slide. So we'd like also to mention a little bit about so ATC, which is the utility token of the Attestcoin protocol. So you can see here on the right side, so it's going to be used for staking, stashing, rewards, and writability fees. So we mentioned here that reads are free, so that's information that's already been verified and doesn't require extensive compute to be able to access from storage. So we have that as no fee, but we have the fee for writing. And so CTC is still there, very much so. So that's to pay for all the gas, essentially to pay for the transactions, and ATC is specifically for Attestcoin for the things that we list there on the right side. So that's for Attestcoin. And here we have, so that's good to mention the documentation here, because some of the questions, so I saw some questions coming from builder or people from community. Multiple of those things I think can be answered in the documentation. If you have a question that's about like getting started, it should be covered in documentation. If it's possible that there's something there that isn't covered, you can maybe mention it if you think that's the case. But for the most part, like if you need something, like for example, if you don't know what chain is supported on testnet, or if you don't know what's the chain key, so I believe it's 1 for Sepolia on testnet and 3 for mainnet on our testnet. So if you need that type of information, if you need the Attestcoin dashboard, for example, if you need the proof builder for Attestcoin. So if you need all those type of things like a URL to get started or a number, like a configuration, you can have all those things in the documentation. So it's docs.creditcoin.org. You can see that in the first column there on the left. And we have like a whole section with 10, 15 pages here that we call Attestcoin protocol, where we really go into details so that you have all that you need to be able to build. You probably will want to use the documentation to feed to your agents. I think it's probably a good thing to do that if you're building with agents. I imagine many are. We also have examples that you can use for that purpose as well. Those examples, they start from something that's fairly basic that you will just be using what's existing to something that's more sophisticated, where you will be really more like hands-on doing the example, and something for you that's maybe not so much for your agent training there. So for yourself, we also have multiple tutorials that are videos that walk through getting started, some examples that are simpler and some examples that are, again, more sophisticated. Those are all examples. If you were to be building something that's more for the real world, there's probably some changes that you would want to do, and probably, of course, some resiliency, some security and all that that you would want to bake in as well. And so that's for the examples, the documentation. And finally, you also have the faucet. So in the right column there, you can see that we mentioned a Discord server. You can get some CTC from Discord directly, and that should be good to get you started with the information that you have in the documentation. That's for that section. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. I'm Song. I lead investment at Credit Labs. One of the Credit Labs' major function is running CEIP, which stands for Creditcoin Ecosystem Investment Program. The program invests in companies that can expand the Creditcoin ecosystem and increase its long-term value. Today, I'll talk about CEIP Fast Track process, which is an offer available to the top 3 projects. The Fast Track process is fairly simple. We want highly qualified builders to build a product on Creditcoin without being held back by anything. For the top 3 teams, you offer a faster review process so they can secure funding faster and avoid any delays during development. They also receive direct and indirect support from the Creditcoin team on engineering and marketing. So CEIP evaluates projects across 5 key pillars. First is user-based expansion. We want to support projects that can bring new users into the Creditcoin ecosystem. Second, technical alignment. We look for projects that fully utilize Creditcoin's technical capabilities and leverage them to create value for the users. Third, product vision. This includes the product's innovative edge, long-term vision, and roadmap. And fourth, execution capability. The track record of the management team are critical, as execution is often what determines whether a project can successfully move forward. And lastly, we consider market and technical relevance. We want products that are aligned with current market trends and evolving technical standards, as this is a strong indicator of their ability to attract users beyond the Creditcoin ecosystem. So these 5 pillars are not only the core criteria for CEIP, but also this hackathon. Once a project is accepted into CEIP and continues to demonstrate strong alignment with Creditcoin's vision, we provide ongoing support beyond funding and engineering advisory. This includes product feedback and introduction to relevant industry experts. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Song, Dave, and Diaz. I hope those presentations gave everyone a clear picture of Season 2. And up next, let's jump right into the Q&A session. We will first cover the top questions submitted prior to the session. Question number 1, how should teams demonstrate their use of the Attestcoin protocol? I think this question goes to Dave.
Yep. Yeah, I'll take this one. So we're asking builders to be using Attestcoin for a core feature in a meaningful way while building their solution. So you want to avoid just having it sort of for the sake of it. You want to be building something that's core in your solution using Attestcoin and what we already have, and you want to be building that on testnet as a working solution. That's it.
Thank you so much, Dave. Moving on to the next question. Does the code base need to be open source? I think, Dave, you're also the best person to answer this one.
Yes. So yes, it needs to be open source. And we are also asking the participants to work in a transparent manner. So what I mean by that is try to avoid sort of submitting everything just at once with like, one commit with the entire solution towards the end of the hackathon timeline. So it would be preferable if you can be more transparent in the approach into how this has been built, and have that open source. Yes.
Thank you so much. Third one, it's another technical question. Which testnet source chains are currently supported?
Yeah, so on testnet, we currently have two. So number one is Sepolia for Ethereum, and chain number 3, so 1 and then it's 3. 3 is mainnet, Ethereum mainnet, and you can view that. So if you go, I referred to that earlier during the presentation. I think if you go on docs.creditcoin.org in the environment section, so I encourage you to have a look at the environment section, the testnet sub page there, and you will see that we have those. So we have number 1 and 3 there that you can see, but we also have all kinds of other things that you will need. So for example, the SDK, the dashboard, as I mentioned earlier. So that's a dashboard specifically to view the attestations, to view as well if you do verify and emit, which you would be familiar with as you start building. You can view them there as well. We also have the URL for the proof builder that you probably will want to use. That will facilitate your work a lot. You could be building an equivalent solution sort of yourself, but probably some builders will want to use the proof builder. We have the address of the verifier precompile, which you will also need, and then the examples and the tutorials and all that. So it's number 1 and 3, and you have that in the environment section.
Thank you, Dave. I hope that builders better understand how it works. Next question. What exactly will judges look for when picking the top 3 teams? I think this one. Song, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, of course. So we look for 5 key factors, key pillars: user-based expansion, technical alignments, product visions, management team quality, and market.
Thank you. Moving on to the last question. Can teams deploy their product outside the hackathon?
I can take this one. Of course, you are more than welcome to deploy your projects outside of the hackathons. It's your code, so you have the full ownership of the code.
Thank you so much. I think that's all we have for Q&A. If you have any additional questions beyond today's Q&A, feel free to leave them in the BUIDL CTC Q&A channel on the Creditcoin Discord. We will keep following up there. Okay then, thank you DS, Dave, and Song for joining us today. And of course, thank you to all the builders who stayed with us until the end. Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder on submissions. Registering on Dora Hacks isn't enough. Your project won't reach the judges until you actually hit submit. And there's no separate registration form. Your final project upload is your official entry. The deadline is, as mentioned before, September 6th at 11:59 p.m. ET, so give yourself plenty of buffer time. And lastly, you will find all the guides and technical resources linked on the Dora Hacks page. So that's it. We can't wait to see what you build. Good luck, happy building, and we will see you at the finish line. Thank you, everyone, and have a great morning and evening.